Hi guys, my name is Josie. In this video I thought I'd show you my portfolio for art school admissions. I got accepted to Rhode Island School of Design, Maine College of Art, and Massachusetts College of Art and Design. I hope this video helps you with your own application. So let's get started. I have here the printed out version of what I submitted to Slide Room. So I'll just be looking on this because I have like I think I submitted 14 pieces. So what RISD requires is the RISD assignment, and it can change sometimes throughout the years. I know last year it was different than like this year, I believe. So this year's prompt was 3 words. You could choose one and then create 2 responses for it. The 3 words were threshold, plastic, and collect. I was going to do plastic and I had a whole project planned out, but then I decided against it, that I could do something more creative myself with collect. So my first response that I did was an installation. I built this in shop at school, the type of school I go to, a vocational technical high school. We have a whole shop area that I was able to utilize, and I got my materials from like the craft store and my art room. So the final image that I submitted had like different lighting manipulating it as part of the project. I can put in process pictures here. And I titled this Our Life and How It Got Us Here, and it's basically all the materials I used in the lighting are supposed to represent different parts of my childhood and life, and they're representative of different parts of that and how it is. And then my second response is titled Armor. It's a wearable sculpture or garment, and this one was inspired by my visit to the RISD Nature Lab. My art class took a trip there and we were supposed to do some sketches of different things around the building, as in like the specimens and stuff, because they have live animals, plants, and taxidermy and that kind of stuff. So what I was really attracted to near the end of our visit, I found this ram's horn in the bone room, and I liked just the movement of it and the way it looked, so I sketched that, and I actually put that sketch as another piece in my portfolio. So I just mentioned in my description how I utilized that, and they want to know what other directions or ideas you would take with it. So I think I said I would use different materials like metal or wood to kind of further represent what I was trying to go for. So into my actual portfolio, I think I submitted the minimum requirement of 12 pieces because I procrastinated a lot, which I highly don't recommend. Give yourself enough time to do this because it may seem like, oh, 12 pieces, but they want recent, within the past year or so, and like your best work, and a lot of stuff that I had done. Like, I don't draw in a sketchbook a lot, so I was trying to look through my sketchbooks, and I think there's like 5 things I've actually completed in like 10 years. I'm definitely more of like a not in a sketchbook kind of person, I don't know. So that wasn't really helpful, so I had to come up with a lot of things like on the spot. So my first submission was what I called Armor Study, and it was a sketchbook entry. These are a couple of the drawings I did in the bone room and just around the nature lab of like a deer and the horn. And basically just listed what materials I used, and I tried to make it very multimedia, not just like a graphite sketch, because I had other ones of those, so I tried to add the materials I ended up using in the actual garment. So I worked on the sketch like after I had finished the actual garment too, because that's fine. They love seeing process pieces, so I could have left it the way it was, but it was kind of just blah. So I try to make it more in its own piece by adding the separate materials. And then my next piece after that was titled Where Does the Food Go? It was my first oil painting, and it's about 6 inches by 6 inches on a canvas. It's supposed to be very whimsical and fun, not realistic at all, clearly. But I put in elements of like realisticness with the hamster, and because I have my hamster who lives in the other side of my room, I put her in there with what I took in my imagination as like where she lives in her little house. So that was fun, especially since I never worked with that medium before. It definitely tested my patience. And then the next piece I submitted was called Nature Lab. For obvious reasons, I did this also in the RISD Nature Lab, downstairs in their aquatic area. I observed their fish tank with those black goldfish with the big eyes. Those are my favorite. So I just drew them in different areas to show that I could draw from observation, which was good. So that also goes into my next piece. Another observation with charcoal. This one's about 24 by 20 just on drawing paper. We did it in class. My teacher laid out a skeleton on like a chest, and we just sat around it and drew it. So that just shows, again, I can draw realistically and with charcoal, which they love. If you can put in multiple pieces with charcoal, they love that. So my next piece after that one is titled Heathen. I had to Google the definition for this because I had an idea, but I didn't want to title it something and then it meant something different than what I wanted. So basically, heathen is like somebody who strays from like the path of what everyone wants them to be on. So my description was saying that it was created with the idea in mind of pushing past set expectations in order to create the person you want to be, not the one society pressures you into. So it goes into the thing of going off the path that someone wants you to go on. And this was just acrylic paint on glossy photo paper that was like 4x6, and the photo I used was my own. I like dabble in photography. I'm by no means a professional, but I do have a bunch of photos that I've taken over the years, and I just had this one printed and I started painting on it, and that's what happened. So the next one I did was called Do Not Disturb. It was an acrylic painting of my brother in his room playing a video game, and you can get very angry about playing them if you have a brother, a younger brother, whatever, that likes to, or anyone else in your family that likes to play video games, and they get like this. I understand that. So I literally sat in his bed and I did some sketches of him, and that's what I did. And I like this piece because I used unrealistic colors in some parts of it, like the computer desk in the bottom left of the image and in the window and stuff. So I like that. And then the next piece I did was called The Classroom, and this is another observational drawing, but I did a continuous line contour drawing. There's no shading, no other like values or markings, just a one continuous line, and it's blue. My submission is blue because like the blue tint to it, because when I took the picture it was like kind of yellowy, and it was, the original image is just done on white like sketchbook paper, and when I was playing around with the filters and stuff to try to make it what I wanted, it kind of looked blue, and I thought that looked cool, and it went with like the Do Not Disturb. The way I was trying to arrange my portfolio, I thought it would look nice. So I did that. That shows, again, I can draw realistically, but not just with like traditional painting or sketching. So that was different. And then my next piece was called Eclipse. This was a garment that took me the whole process of it took about a year. I started this in junior year. The final project I did in about 2 nights. But the beginning, I'll put a picture of that here. It was not unique. If I had put that in there, that would have severely damaged my, I believe it would severely damage my decision for them, my admittance, because it was, I actually met with one of the admissions officers for like a small portfolio review at my school, and he wanted me to do something very unexpected, and the patterns I had then were just like expected. Like you can tell, like, well, it's very obvious that like the paper plates, the pattern is very repeated. You expect what's happening next. It's whatever. So I took that, the word, that like unexpected, that word that stuck with me for like the rest of my process creating my portfolio, because I always looked at my stuff and I was like, have they seen this before? Am I gonna wow them with this? Is this different from the thousands of other people applying? And so I believe this one was definitely the what I had done to change it up. Clearly, you can't even tell I used paper plates in some parts. I transformed it a bunch. So that really helps. They want to see that how you can transform in like ordinary objects. That's a big piece. If you're really into like sculpture and stuff, even if you're more into 2D art, definitely try to submit even experimental 3-dimensional pieces, because that really helps instead of just doing all 2D. So my next one is called half base times height, the surface area formula for a triangle, which you can guess why I did that. But this was a garment that I made. This was my first full-blown like garment that I have made that you can like wear. It was all hand sewn because I don't have a sewing machine, nor do I know how to use the one, which is great. So this took a while, and then to take pictures of it, I stood in the shower and my mom threw this like colored powder at me that you see in those like color runs. I found that at a store and I was like, let's use that. So I think that was really fun. Again, that can show that I can transform other objects into something new. Instead of like taking a pair of pants and like paint, I don't know, like it just is different, I guess. I guess they like that. And then my next piece was, I believe what did I title this? Mirror, Mirror. This was obviously a nude figure drawing. I had the opportunity to take a figure drawing class. I didn't do it though because money, and it was too far for me to drive there for just like the class. So I found a way to do it without taking the class. So I really like this one because, I don't know, I like how I did the dark and the light. I've never done like figure drawing before, so I just kind of like did it myself. I actually did this one on New Year's Eve, like at midnight. That's what I did. I sat in my room all alone drawing this. That was great. And then, so if you have the chance to take a figure drawing class, take it. If you can't, ask a friend. I don't know, but I think it's definitely a necessity to have something like this in your portfolio, because you're going to be doing it in art school, and it's good for them to see that you've already had experience with it. So the next one I put after this, I titled Wildfire on My Mind. It's a piece based on social anxiety and fear, which is something I struggle with like all the time. So I thought, why not make a piece based on that? And this also kind of evolved. It started with just the self-portrait and the background with like the wheat field. But then I looked at it, and again, the word like unexpected came back to me, and I was like, this is very like, I don't know, like I've seen this before. So I went in and I just painted fire and clouds and called it that. And then my next piece was titled Selv, S-E-L-V, which is the Finnish word for self. And I picked the Finnish word because, I don't know, I've always liked Finland. I've never been there, but just like Finland seems really cool to go to. And I was like, oh, instead of just called self, we'll just call it Selv. So if you're from Finland, I want to go to your country because it seems a lot better than here. So, and again, this was like, my description was an exploration of my personal image and how overcoming past abuses will transform the mind, body, and soul. So different images, I did lots of hands and body parts. Clearly it's not me. It's supposed to be more like an abstract representation of like my image of myself. So that was cool. Again, that's just another use of like different media instead of just like paint or pencil. You can manipulate different media. And finally, my last submission is titled Remedy. This is one of my favorites. It's actually right here. Look at that. Hello. There it is. It's quite large. Not really, but This was in the process, this was in the making for like months. It wouldn't have actually taken that long, but I had done the background like probably last November, like in November, and it was an acrylic pour technique that I found on YouTube because I was like, I want to do something different, not just like paint a background. So you can actually look it up, just acrylic pour, and it's really easy to do. So I did that, and that sat in my room for months. And then finally, I was trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do for the foreground. So I ended up using oil paint again and doing the portrait on the front. So I love this one because the background it's like water, and I was trying to, the picture I used was from like when I was in the shower, and it was like, I described it as like a meditative, calm environment, and how it's like basically tranquil. I don't know, I try to just connect tranquil, meditative, calm, all those together, and come up with some reason why that was a good piece. But overall, I had my doubts. I like submitted it. I mean, anyone would like, I mean, unless you're really, really confident in your work, then you're fine. But I submitted it, and I was so nervous because I had moments where I was like, I'm gonna get in. Like, we've got this. We're good. I've seen other videos of people doing their portfolios. Like, I think I'm at that level. We're good. And then other times I was like, yeah, no, this is not gonna happen. We're not getting in. But when I found out I got in, I cried a lot because I'd been very stressed, like thinking about that and other things. And it was just great. Like, I don't know if I'm going to RISD yet. It's my top choice. I absolutely would love to go. The only factor is that the money. Some people, that's not an issue. That's fine. Like, I wish I could be in your situation. That's amazing. But you know, my circumstance, like, ugh, geez, like just thinking about the amount of debt I'd be in after, it's like, whew. But then the opportunities you get from RISD are just so much greater than anywhere else that I've seen. Like, comment below if you know one. I don't know. So I've talked to my art teacher. She went to RISD. She really helped me with my portfolio. If you know somebody with like, who knows what they're looking for, absolutely like get in contact with them. Talk to admissions. If there's a portfolio review near you, go do everything you possibly can. My art teacher, absolutely, like, without her, I don't even think, no, I would not have gotten in. Just because she, like, you know, pushed us to really try and like do different things, and she, you know, she offered advice, and it was great. Like, that was absolutely something that I'm so grateful for. So I'm actually going to Accepted Students Day on Friday, and hopefully I can meet people and some faculty and stuff, and figure out what I'm doing this in the fall. If I don't go there, I guess I don't know. If I don't go to RISD, we'll figure something out. We're gonna get through life. Like, it's good. Like, this is not the end of the world. But comment down below if you have any questions for me. Obviously, like, I'm not an expert, but I have done some research for the past many months. So, I mean, I know some things. I could try to help you out. I hope this helped you. You can see the sun is starting to cast through my window. But I hope to see you guys again. So, bye.